5 minutes ago, the door to the United Kingdom didn't just close on Meghan Markle. It was slammed, locked, and sealed for good. Sources say a staggering list of demands sent from Montecito, supposedly tied to a possible return, triggered a response that rattled the walls of Buckingham Palace. This wasn't a discussion. It was a take-it-or-leave-it ultimatum. She demanded 4 full floors of the Hyatt Hotel be shut down for her private use. She demanded bulletproof glass and a fleet of luxury cars. She even demanded that British staff be barred from meeting her eyes. But this time, the palace isn't indulging the drama. Insiders say King Charles and Prince William reviewed the list and effectively delivered a permanent ban without ever saying the words. The message couldn't be harsher. We don't want you here. Today, we're unpacking the document that finally exhausted the king's patience. Meghan wanted something that looked like a rival court. What she got was a blunt, humiliating refusal. Why insist on a fortress for a straightforward sporting event? And what kind of security trap is she trying to set for the royal family? Stay with me, because we're about to get to the phrase that, according to insiders, ended these diva demands for good. To understand why the palace reportedly tossed this document aside, you have to grasp the sheer scale of the audacity. Let's call it the Hyatt ultimatum. Because if these reports are accurate, Meghan Markle isn't preparing a modest return to support veterans, she's planning a takeover. Insiders claim that for a potential trip to the Invictus Games in Birmingham, she demanded 4 floors of the Hyatt be completely closed off just for her. Pause and think about the nerve of that request. This is a commercial hotel in a busy city center. Paying guests, families, business travelers, maybe even veterans attending the games, would be displaced or blocked so she can exist inside a vacuum-sealed bubble of privacy. Even actual heads of state often accept a presidential suite and a secured wing. But for the Duchess of Sussex, a suite won't do. She wants a fortress. She's asking for a fortress inside the city, complete with bulletproof glass at the games and armed security everywhere she goes. This isn't only about safety, it's about status. It's about projecting that she is the most important person in the room, the city, and the country. Along with the hotel lockdown, the list reportedly includes a fleet of luxury cars and drivers on call 24/7 to move her around like visiting royalty. She wants a police escort from the airport straight to the hotel, so she never has to sit in traffic like everyone else. And the entourage reads like a Hollywood production, not a charity visit. She's reportedly flying in her own chef, assistant, and hair and makeup team. Apparently, British food and British stylists don't meet her standards. Most brazen of all, she demanded 4 separate rooms for her PR staff alone. Let that land. 4 rooms just for the spin team. It reinforces what critics have argued for years. This trip isn't about veterans. It's a PR play. It's a photo opportunity meant to refill her image bank, and she expects the UK's infrastructure to bend the knee to make it happen. These are what sources describe as jaw-dropping conditions. She wants the red carpet unrolled, the streets cleared, and the buildings emptied. Frankly, it sounds like daylight robbery. She wants the perks of being a senior working royal, the security, the palaces, the deference, without giving a single day of the actual work. But if you think demanding 4 floors of a hotel is shocking, wait until you hear the rules she allegedly tries to impose on the human beings expected to serve her. It's so dehumanizing, so pure diva, it makes the bulletproof glass sound almost reasonable. If bulletproof glass and luxury suites make Meghan look paranoid, the demands involving the people around her suggest something darker about her character. This is the most disturbing part of the dossier. The invisible staff rule. According to the leaked conditions, locking down 4 floors still wasn't enough to satisfy the Duchess's need for control. She reportedly wants to control where people look. Insiders describe a harsh instruction given to venue staff. Staff aren't allowed to look at her. Take a second with that. Bellboys, cleaners, waiters, working-class men and women simply trying to do their jobs are reportedly told they're not worthy of making eye contact with the Duchess of Sussex. She wants total control. This is the kind of rule you'd expect from a feudal court centuries ago, not modern Britain, and certainly not from someone who built her public brand on being a relatable American mom who embraces strangers. It's the peak of holier-than-thou arrogance. It implies she sees herself as above others, while staff are treated like peasants who must lower their gaze. For an American audience, where a firm handshake and eye contact signal respect, this is the ultimate insult. It strips workers of dignity. It says, "I'm so far above you that you don't exist in my world." And the demands don't end with eye contact. They extend to how she must be addressed. Despite stepping away from the royal family, despite criticizing the institution on Netflix, and despite insisting she wanted freedom from titles, the list is reportedly explicit. Anyone who interacts with her must call her Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No exceptions. So if a maid knocks to deliver fresh towels, she can't simply say, "Here are your towels, ma'am." She must recite the full title. That is hypocrisy in its purest form. Meghan rejects protocol when it limits her, but seems to love it when it can be used to diminish others. And this isn't framed as a one-off for an upcoming trip. It's presented as a pattern. Reports from her time in New York claimed she stayed in a large townhouse. Even there, the cleaner allegedly had to announce her as Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, despite there being only one other person present. Picture it. A cleaner forced to act like a royal herald in a private living room, all to feed Meghan's ego. This invisible staff rule exposes the contradiction at the heart of the Sussex image. You can't preach equality, compassion, and community on a podcast, then walk through a hotel demanding that workers stare at the floor. That creates fear, not respect. For palace officials reviewing these demands, this was likely the breaking point. They understand the British public, who value dignity and despise snobbery, would never tolerate this behavior. Meghan may think these rules make her look regal. In truth, they make her look insecure, because only someone deeply frightened of becoming irrelevant insists on being announced like a queen every time they enter a room. Now, here's where the story turns from diva behavior into something more strategic, something more calculated. Because insiders allege this wasn't just a list of demands, it was a test, a trap, a leverage play. Think about it. If the palace agreed to even half of these requests, what would Meghan gain? Not just comfort, not just protection. She would gain something far more valuable, a precedent. The moment UK authorities provide enhanced security, hotel lockdowns, and special treatment, Meghan can point to it and say, "See, they do recognize my importance. They do believe I'm at risk. They do owe me the same level of protection as senior royals. And if anything went wrong, anything at all, then suddenly the narrative becomes, the palace failed me." That's why some royal watchers claim the real issue isn't the Hyatt floors or the luxury SUVs. It's what those things imply. They imply Meghan is still operating as a working royal, without doing the work, without living in the UK, and without answering to the institution. And that is exactly what Buckingham Palace cannot allow. Because the royal family doesn't just guard buildings and titles, it guards the structure, the hierarchy, the chain of command. And if a former working royal returns demanding a rival court, private floors, private escorts, private rules, then you don't just have a family squabble. You have a constitutional headache. Now, let's zoom in on Birmingham in the Invictus context, because this is where the optics become explosive. Invictus is supposed to be about wounded veterans, resilience, and dignity. It's meant to shine the spotlight on people who lost limbs, who carry scars, who rebuilt their lives. So tell me, how does it look when the headline becomes, 4 floors of a hotel closed so Meghan can feel special? It doesn't just look ridiculous, it looks cruel. Because if these reports are true, it means the comfort of wealthy celebrities is prioritized over the comfort of the very people the event is supposed to honor. It turns a charity event into a vanity tour, and palace insiders allegedly saw that coming from a mile away. And then there's the British public. Let's be real. Britain is dealing with cost of living pressures, public services stretched thin, frustration with elites, and a growing impatience for anything that looks like unnecessary extravagance. In that climate, a demand for a 4-floor lockdown isn't just tone deaf, it's political gasoline. So when the dossier hit the palace desk, the reaction wasn't just personal, it was institutional self-defense. Because if Meghan arrived with a police escort and a luxury motorcade, cameras would capture it. Social media would explode. Tabloids would feast for weeks, and the royal family would be blamed for enabling it, even if they had nothing to do with it. This is why, according to insiders, William's response was ice cold, not emotional, not shouting, not dramatic, just a quiet calculation: no, never again. And now, let's talk about the part that allegedly made palace aides look at one another and think, is she serious? The staffing demands. Because the no eye contact rule isn't just rude, it's symbolic. It's the behavior of someone trying to recreate a courtly system where servants are invisible, where power is performed through humiliation. And if you know anything about modern royal protocol, you know this is the exact opposite of what the monarchy tries to project now. Whether you love them or hate them, the modern royals sell the image of service, humility, duty. The idea that they meet the public, shake hands, visit hospitals, speak to ordinary people. So the notion of Meghan returning while demanding that staff look away? That would ignite outrage across the UK faster than any interview ever could. Now here's the next twist. Because insiders claim it wasn't just no eye contact, there were whispers of control over proximity. Who can stand near her? Who can approach? Who can speak unless spoken to? Again, allegedly. But if it's true, then what you're looking at is not security. It's theater. It's dominance. It's a performance of importance. And that's where King Charles comes in, because Charles is a man who has waited his entire life for the crown. He has spent decades managing tradition, public opinion, and family image. And in the last few years, the monarchy has been fighting fires on every side: scandals, health concerns, public trust, and constant media warfare. The last thing Charles needs is a returning duchess staging her own parallel monarchy in a Hyatt. So according to sources, he didn't argue, he didn't negotiate, he didn't bargain with Montecito, he simply shut it down. Now I want you to imagine the scene behind palace walls. A senior aide prints the list. It's placed in a folder. It lands on a desk with a thud. Another aide skims it, eyebrows rising. Then it gets passed up the chain, reviewed, annotated, flagged. And somewhere in that process, a decision is made. We can't touch this. Because once you start accommodating demands like this, you're not managing a visit. You're managing a regime. And this is where the phrase comes in, the phrase that insiders say ended it. Not a scream, not a scandalous insult, a bureaucratic guillotine. A phrase so final, so humiliating it makes the demands collapse in on themselves. That phrase? Non-starter. Royal language for absolutely not. Don't ask again. It's the kind of phrase courtiers use when they want something dead on arrival. It means there will be no meetings, no compromise, no back and forth. The door is closed. And insiders claim that after that, the message got even clearer. Meghan's conditions didn't just fail, they offended. Now let's look at why this is reportedly being treated as a permanent ban without anyone announcing a ban. Because a formal ban is messy. It becomes a headline. It becomes a legal question. It becomes a royal family refuses Meghan narrative that can be monetized, weaponized, and replayed. But an unofficial ban? That's cleaner. An unofficial ban looks like this: no invitations, no accommodation, no coordination, no security partnership, no palace involvement, no windows opened. You can't claim you were banned if nobody says it. But you also can't show up like you own the place if every door is locked. And that's the genius of it. The royal family's biggest weapon isn't revenge, it's silence. Meghan can speak. Harry can speak. Netflix can speak. Podcasts can speak. Books can speak. But the palace? It can just stop answering. And when the palace stops answering, it's not just personal. It's strategic starvation. It starves the drama of oxygen. Now let's talk about the psychological side, because high drama isn't just about what was demanded, it's about why someone would demand it. If someone truly believed they were returning to support veterans, wouldn't they want to blend in? Wouldn't they want the spotlight on the athletes? Wouldn't they want to avoid looking like a diva? Unless, the point is the spotlight, unless the mission isn't support, it's spectacle. Which brings us to the ending, because this story isn't just about a hotel. It's about a line being drawn. If these reports are accurate, Meghan didn't just ask for security, she asked for submission. And the palace responded, quietly but brutally. You don't get to rewrite the rules from the outside. So the next time you hear, will she return? Or is there a reconciliation? Remember this. Healing doesn't come with a rival court, and if the phrase non-starter really was used, then it tells you everything you need to know. The palace isn't negotiating, it isn't bargaining, it isn't trembling, it's done. Now I want to hear from you. If you were organizing an event meant to honor veterans, would you accept a celebrity demand list like this? Or would you do what the palace allegedly did? Slam the door and walk away? If you want part 2, where we break down what this could mean for Invictus, Harry's position, and whether the Sussex brand can survive another public rejection, tell me in the comments.